You see, it's not just the football team that, maybe may have some things. Well, there always are things to correct. But, I mean, this is like our little football game here, too, on Tuesdays at 11 o'clock when Kevin O'Connell, head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, stops by. And we don't want to go 2 consecutive weeks with blown coverage via, bad headphones or something like that. So we're all good, right?
Luckily, PA, your voice travels beyond the confines of these headphones. So even if they're not on, they're not working, you and I will always figure it out.
Well, this is your 30-ish minute crack at radio. And in radio, we like to hear ourselves talk. It's just kind of an inherent nature of the job. So we got to make sure that you can hear those dulcet tones, the Kevin O'Connell dulcet tones. And we're undefeated. The Minnesota Vikings are 4-0 and heading to London to take on the JETS Jets. And have you, where the team is staying Friday and Saturday, have you stayed there before?
I have not.
Oh, wow. Okay, good. This plays. Because where you're going to practice is a cutout football field that at least in 2013 when we were there to play the Steelers and Everson Griffin toppled Big Ben. Get that? It's the same field, but there was a vast forest around it. And in the forest, you have World War II bunkers.
Wow. Okay,
that are marked. So I think in kind of a roundabout fashion, even with a Friday practice and or Saturday with the mock game and stuff like that, the MVP here may be security's Dave Corus and his staff, making sure that there are not Jet spies hiding in these bunkers in this vast forest trying to steal your plays. And good morning. You concerned about that?
Man, that just took a turn. I am
it's
a little concerned
radio.
About that now.
If it's 1-4, I don't care about the bunkers.
No, luckily we've got the best in the absolute business protecting us. Dave Corus, nobody better.
Yeah, for sure. I'm telling you, you're going to like this. There are bunkers all over the place from World War II. It's a beautiful, beautiful sight. Are you exhausted after games?
Yes.
Mentally exhausted, right? Because when you walked on that plane after the Lambeau game and we said hello and you commented on my tie, I mean, you just seemed like you were fried. You had just given everything.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is the aspect I put a lot into just the play caller role. So there's a lot that goes into it. I watch games some Sundays or Monday night games last night and got it on in the background. And you just see some of these guys that don't necessarily have a play calling role. Man, it looks like they're having fun out there. But I do love calling plays, and I love being the head coach of this team. Got unbelievable coaches and players to get to do this with on a daily basis. But that job in itself is a 7-day-a-week kind of 24-hour-a-day type job. And then I've really learned that to do the play calling job and the head coaching job, it takes a level of communication, dialogue, and preparation that it should look that way. If I ever get on the plane and I look like I can just go coach another one, PA, I'm probably doing something wrong.
Well, I like how you laid that out, because even though metaphorically it can be 7 days a week, 24/7, always thinking about it and stuff like that, I do, and maybe I said this to you last year, I like how all you guys go home, coaches, all you guys go home after games. Because it's whether it's my experience here, just knowing people around the league, many they go right back to the facility and they start on the next one on Sunday night. When you're fried and stuff like that, and rest and mental health are just so important. We always talk about players, but coaches too. Is that something that you think about?
Yeah, definitely, and it's one of those things. I talk to our coaches a lot at the beginning of every season with the best intentions in mind of I do want them to be thinking about themselves, getting their rest, making sure we're at our best for the players when we have them. And Wednesday through Friday, we got to be on. But when we're putting together the game plans, let's get in routines. Let's get dialed in on who's doing what, roles and responsibilities. I do have a big staff, as Bud Grant always liked to remind me about.
Right.
But we've got really smart coaches. We've got great idea guys throughout, our offense, defense, special teams. We've got a staff where, I've told those guys there's never A good idea can come from everywhere and anywhere, including our players in the building. And I want guys to feel invested in the plan, work hard towards that plan. But we need to make sure what we're doing right now is repeatable for 17-plus weeks. And talking to myself when I say that first and foremost, because you learn in this thing if you're not going to find ways of taking care of yourself, and I'm still trying to do that personally every single week, however, whatever that may look like, you're going to wear down. And then when you wear down, you may not be at your best for your players. And if they feel it, we're not doing our jobs as well as we could. So it's all tied together. Appreciate you asking, though. I am doing great today.
Yeah, it's you and the staff. And it's not like I'm looking at everybody's cars in the parking lot just to see what everybody's doing, even though I know
they better all be there when you pulled up today, by the way.
But they better all be gone when I get off that last bus, from a road trip, because that's just right. That's seeing the forest for the trees, in my opinion, no matter if you're 4-0 or 0-4. Lambeau Field is football Americana. It's super cool. I mean, I've called well over 20 games there. I love it. But that skinny stairwell next to the locker room, that's an ACL waiting to happen. I don't know what you think about it, and I know I'm narrow casting here, but I was thinking about you this weekend. Is that little skinny stairwell down to the field next to the locker room at Lambeau Field? When they did the renovation, they forgot about the skinny stairwell.
I don't think they forgot.
It's an ACL waiting to happen. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do. I do, and I can. The player will remain nameless, but I was an offensive coach, I should say. Mm-hmm. We had a quarterback who had dealt with a little bit of an injury throughout the week. I'm not going to tell you what was injured. That will narrow it down too much. Right. But let's just say on our way out to pregame, said player fell down that entire flight of stairs and happened right in front of me. And so now anytime I'm ever walking down those stairs, I always make sure I'm in front. Unless it's, Darisaw or somebody like that, I make sure I'm in front.
Yeah.
So if anybody's falling, they're falling on top of me in that moment. The hardest part is halftime when everybody's coming in from the field and you're going up. These guys are all in their cleats. Yep. A lot of them are in their 7-stud kind of bigger cleats.
Yeah, and it's steep.
And it's steep, and you're just trying to get up there and get with the staff, and you're moving quickly. I've seen some guys go down. So I'd like to think our team's gone up there enough to know how to handle ourselves in those situations, but it's definitely unique. And then you get that real tight kind of tunnel walking all the way out to the field. It's one of one. Really cool place.
But I know you're detail-oriented, and that actually is like a little tiny part of the conversation. Hey, guys, when you head out there, be careful going down the stairs, because with those cleats, man, people can slip. Old people like me slip easily, too. Kevin O'Connell, 9 to noon. It's 11:11. Good morning. And I'm so glad that you gave a game ball after the game to Byron Murphy Jr. Yeah. I mean, it was fascinating for me calling the game and us watching it. You got Love going there. You got him and Metellus talking to each other. Then somebody gets greedy, thinks they're going to loft up a punt, and it's just going to be that easy, and somebody catches it and then punched it out from Kraft. So that was cool for Byron Murphy Jr., who I happen to like a lot, a great gregarious personality. But in the locker room, I saw this via video. When you toss the ball to him, you almost clip Ziggy in the face.
It was Mark. Yeah, no, Mark was
almost clipped him.
Yeah, and you get pretty. I enjoy. I've actually told our team, there's nothing that I enjoy more than that. Not when I'm talking. I know everybody. I'm very similar to UPA. People think we like to talk a lot, but I just love seeing the looks on the faces. The euphoric experience of winning in the National Football League, especially the way we do it here. Every player, coach, anybody in that locker room is totally invested in whatever the challenge was that week, and every single week in this league is a challenge. So when you go in there and you can celebrate, we've got ourselves a song that seems to keep popping up and playing every single week. I get excited, and one of my negatives from my draft report came out, and I was not at my best when it was required, and I was a little inaccurate with that toss. And
high red or low red?
Thank goodness. Well, it looks like short red. Area, low area right there.
No doubt.
But it looks like Mark, give him a lot of credit for his
he's an athlete.
Fast-moving, athletic movements right there. But I also told him, you must be expecting an inaccurate throw, so he's probably dove into my
Oh, that's great.
my scouting evaluations that the Vikes had on me at the time.
Darnold has 11 passing touchdowns, number one in the league. With Sam, just getting to know a little bit about him here, can you heap a lot on him, and like what do you like with the work that he does, like getting in and out of plays when it's actually play clock's running down, whole thing?
Yeah, he's done a really nice job with it. We do have to have, just as an overall, things we're trying to improve on. We got to have a little bit more urgency as a group. We've been up against, especially early on in some of these games, we've been up against the clock a little bit, and it's because we are asking Sam to run our offense, and we are trying to get to a premier play versus the looks that we're getting. It's one of the reasons why Sam being able to handle that has had a lot of success early on here. I'm trying to find that balance every single week where we are filling up his cup all the way to the top, but then the moment it starts to feel like early on here we're overflowing it too much, we got to pull back a little bit and make sure that this thing is an ever-evolving, growing system that our players are making come to life right before our very eyes. And starts with Sam, starts with those guys up front, the way we're running the football, the way we're blocking on our play passes. We're a very good screen team this year, which was a huge emphasis to go along with the run game.
The Oliver screen was so sneaky. That was sweet.
Yeah, we're trying to keep people off balance, and there's a lot of ways to do that, and we're just getting started with how we're going to operate this year.
Does Sam ask a lot of questions, and like, does he ever challenge you guys? And I don't mean confrontationally.
Yeah.
Does he ever challenge you guys on, say, routes to finding perfect plays?
I wouldn't say he challenges, but he's got some great thoughts, ideas. He knows, only Sam knows, what his eye is going to feel like on a play. And what I mean by that is similar to the batter's eye, or if you're on the 18th hole at Hazeltine, and that shot may look different to you than it does for me, especially how much further I hit the golf ball than you, PA.
Stop that, please.
But that shot may look different to all of us. So I'm trying to learn in real time here. Now that he knows our system, he knows the types of concepts we're going to deploy as the game plan goes on, I'm trying to find how he sees it so I can see it the same way as him. It's great that I may see something a certain way, but as always, if the quarterback or our players aren't personally making things come to life with their own ability and the way it hits Sam's brain and his eye, then we don't need to play. I'm going to call something else. There's a lot of ways to do what we're trying to do on any given play versus defensive looks. That's the most important thing. That's what makes this thing go, and he can feel like he's just in a total rhythm for 60 minutes throughout the game, regardless of circumstance.
And all of that is established preferably up to the game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right, because I'm saying that's a lot, with the play clock running down. Then he can't talk to you 14 seconds down and stuff. Kevin O'Connell, weekly 9 to noon, 11 o'clock on Tuesdays at Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center, FM 100.3 KFAM. And there were just so many clean pockets at Lambeau, specifically early. The offensive line, I would imagine, played quite well there.
They did. And we had a good plan, trying to make sure, got a lot of respect for Rashawn Gary, Preston Smith, Van Ness. I mean, they've really built their team through resources at that edge position, but you cannot forget about the interior of the pocket with Kenny Clark and Slayton and Devontae Wyatt. Yeah, so we really wanted to focus on how do we accomplish all jobs at the same time, being very surgical with how we put together what hash we're going to call certain plays on based upon where we think certain individuals will line up, so we know exactly how much risk we are mitigating with some of those hold the ball kind of play pass type plays. And I think that's part of, once again, like all of the things that, and you asked some great questions, but they're all layers to how we put together the plan every single week to try to give our players the best possible chance to not only just have success, but thrive within the system.
And speaking of asking great questions, we have your weekly talkback.
Yeah.
And this is Jake from Iowa, who will identify himself. And thank you very much, Jake. And here's the talkback.
Hey, Kevin, it's Jake from Iowa. I was just wondering, when you're in a heavyweight fight like that with a division rival and all the momentum is going their way, like it was in the second half when we're bleeding a little bit. How do you get your team to come together and put together a drive like that on the road to seal the game? And what do you think that says about the culture you've built and what you think can happen going forward this season?
We have had some great
Yes.
questions.
Yeah, that was a really good one.
That was really good, and there's really 3 layers to it. First and foremost, you build up your culture. As great as it is on a Thursday in the middle of the off-season program, or on the 4th day in a row practicing in training camp, and your team's going to be gritty and do it for reasons greater than themselves. That's all wonderful, and that's very important. But why you're really doing it 365 days a year, building up that locker room, is for those moments where these guys are not going to look for an exit strategy. They're not going to look for the easy button. We're going to grind. We're going to go through this together. And for any Vikings fans that were in attendance on Sunday, or if you've ever been to one of our games on the road, momentum on the road is a crazy powerful thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you feel like between the 70,000 people, how many people that were there, the momentum of your opponent, it starts to feel probably similar to what it felt like to our opponent in the first half when we're kind of rolling on all cylinders, all 3 phases. And you've got to find a way first and foremost, to have it within your team to respond in those moments, and we do. The second part of it is there's a reason why that football found its way to Justin Jefferson in those moments, because when you need to turn the tide, there are many players on our team, but one in particular that goes ahead and finds a way.
Yep.
Whether it's that third and 11, 3rd and 12 catch on the sideline that I challenged, whether it's the drive starter that we end up getting them on an explosive crossing route. We were going to find a way, not out of a must, because if the coverage dictates the ball does go to Jordan Addison or Jalen Naylor or any of our other players, it may dictate us running the football. It's not a matter all the time of forcing a play. But the adjustments that Jeff Hafley made in the second half, trying to activate, fans probably noticed some of those runs getting chased down from the backside by safeties pressuring off of that backside edge. They were starting to limit some of the things that maybe we could do, but they just played the wrong coverages behind it. And we kind of had a good plan that maybe didn't exist at the start of that game. Maybe we didn't need those things when they brought their initial game plan to Lambeau Field. We were able to attack that. There were adjustments made, and then that's the last part of it. You think about the culture. You think about your best players being huge in those moments, and Justin certainly is that for us. But then the third element is, what play are you calling? It's not just randomly going down to the sheet and pointing your finger at a random play and saying, let's hope this one works. That's not how it works. I'm trying to adjust, adapt, in a lot of ways, mold to what the game is right now. In this moment, how do we protect? How do we attack what I believe we're going to get in that moment? And then what are our options if we don't get what the intended looks are? And it just so happened similar to kind of the big drive we had against the Niners when we needed to go down and eat some clock and score some points. I'm leaning on a lot of things in that moment, players, the makeup of our team, but then I've got to make sure I give our guys some good plays to attack what we're getting. And it might be different than maybe what we originally thought. It might be different than, maybe a play that our guys aren't expecting to come in that moment, and that's when the preparation matters.
Right.
The volume of the game plan needs to give us all a toolbox to adapt on the fly with how we're being defended.
Well, that was a fantastic answer, and football's complicated. It's the ultimate team game, but the preparation. So you can have the voluminous nature of the plays. Your menu can be deep, but it also, as the culture goes off what Jake asked, well, the players have to be in lockstep. With A, B. Cool, you're good with A, B, and C? Okay, well, this is a D, E, F, G game. So that's not something that you can necessarily completely monitor unless you're seeing in practice somebody's making the same mistake. But with what you work on during the course of the week, attacking somebody, how frequently do you see what you expect during games?
Quite a bit, especially early. But what happens is, people are not going to allow 4 quarters of
Yep.
kind of in a lot of ways what you're trying to do is dismantle their plan. And
Yeah.
once you've done that and you've been successful doing that, you're going to get and Jeff Hafley is a phenomenal football coach. Staff, he's got a really good defensive staff. Matt LaFleur is a great head coach. There's going to be adjustments made to not just, we're not just going to keep calling the things because this was our plan.
Yeah.
If there's got to be a change, we have to then change. And
You want to constantly be the aggressor.
and you just want to be able to have the counter punches ready.
Yep.
And that is not always easy to do for Sam in year one. That's where I give him so much credit for being able to handle it. It's one of the reasons why I am exhausted after the game because there's real-time coaching going on. Same with Flo and his guys on the other side.
100%.
Like, it's not I'm a firm believer that if you are a coach in this league that will make the adjustments Monday morning, when you get a chance to sit in your office with a hot coffee and watch the game tape, that's not coaching. Coaching is in real time, being able to provide the keys to your players to go out there and play well and maintain their level of confidence, even in the moments where the entire momentum of the game has shifted, which tends to be the back and forth in our league with really good football teams that you're playing every single week.
Just time for a couple more here with Kevin O'Connell. Blake Brandel now has started 9 games in his career. What do you like about what he's giving you?
Just incredibly consistent. He's a big, strong, smart football player that we always knew with the proper amount of time and perfection to his craft, he could be a very, very high-level player for us, and he's done exactly that. I love his makeup. I love what he brings to our team every single day. I love there's a lot of size and strength over on that left side of the line now. I think it's made not only our run game better, Blake's presence in there, but I think it's solidified a lot of just the overall poise of that group up front. And that's saying something for a guy that just hadn't played consistently a whole lot, and I'm really proud of the way he's responded. We talked very early in the spring about giving him the opportunity to have a home, grow, develop in that position. And you're not always going to be able to see the results. You're not always going to be able to see it out in front. Sometimes you got to be willing to bet on players who are smart, tough, and love football and trust in your ability to put them in situations to have success. Give Chris Cooper, our offensive line coach, a lot of credit. Don't think he's being talked about enough for the job that he's done. And Wes Phillips as well, coordinating this whole thing.
I caught Bill Belichick on the radio last night with Jim Gray and J.J. Watt, and the way he framed it up was, if I'm the Jets, then I tell them the best team in the National Football League is we're playing them next, and then J.J. said something. Then Bill was like, the next step for the Vikings is winning a game from behind. But every time I hear that, I'm kind of like, how do you craft that? I mean, it's and I said it earlier in the radio show with the 2022 season you guys had and those spine tinglers, and then the 4-quarterback trick last year. I mean, your staff, at least, you guys have seen kind of nothing but stress during the course of your run here. But with what Bill said is the next step for Kevin, and this group is they're not going to lead in every game. And I just don't know. I like why. Why can't you lead in every game? How do you craft that?
Well, I understand the point being made for sure, but we still have quite a bit of the makeup of those previous teams you just mentioned within our team this year, and every team is different. 2024, the Minnesota Vikings were a different team than we were in 2022 or 2023. That's just how this league works, and if I'm not doing my job of constantly pushing us to improve and evolve for the better, make the new additions on our team feel like they've been here for a long time, I'm not doing my job. But I would say this much. I think every game when it starts out 0-0, you may not be playing from behind, but you're one play away from playing from behind. You're one play away from not taking the opening kickoff when you do get the football like we did. If we don't go down and score that first drive, the momentum of the game is now quickly on the other team's side. Now, what they do against our defense coming back, or how we've preferred it early on in the year, is to put our defense out there and let them get a stop, and then we're hopefully going to hunt that lead right away. The reason why we haven't played from behind very much is we're playing good football to start games.
Amen.
I do believe when the momentum changed, last Sunday, I do believe that was an example of the feeling, even though the scoreboard didn't necessarily dictate we were losing the game. I do believe that feeling of what we had to find within ourselves as an offense, and then with Murph with a punch out here and an interception there, we had to find a response to adversity, and that's all what losing in a moment in an NFL game, whether it's the momentum or the score, it's finding a response in those moments and figuring it out together. Do you have what it takes to get this done in the moment? And that's always going to be a collective effort. It's going to come at some point this year where we've got to go chase down and win in the fourth quarter, and we've got experience doing that. Our staff absolutely does.
Right.
And we'll be ready in that moment.
All right, two-parter on the Jets, then we say goodbye. Sauce Gardner, quite well respected. What makes him tough? And secondly, Rodgers, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception through 4. His yards per attempt is 6.6. Now, we're only 23% into it, but that's the lowest of his career. How's he playing wearing that green 8? Sauce and the quarterback.
Yeah, Sauce is a player I loved coming out of Cincinnati. He's got length. He's got instincts. He's got ball skills. He's got the ability to run with anybody because he pairs his length and his athleticism at the line of scrimmage. He's very good in press. He's very good getting his hands on. We've got to, whether it's JJ or any of our other receivers, we got to have a great release plan because he can shut you down before you ever get started if you allow him to, PA. But plays with a ton of confidence. They ask him to do a lot. They'll put him out there in some single coverage, as they will with Reed on the other side, because they feel like they've got 2 of the best in football. And I'm not one that's going to pick up that argument against them because I think they're really good players. And I think they fit with what Robert and their defensive coaches want to do. And it allows them doing their jobs for those other guys to be very aggressive in their scheme to go try to change the game from a pressure standpoint, whether it's a 4-man rush or they're bringing heat. Those guys make a lot of plays for them. So we've got a heck of a challenge in the pass game this week for sure. And then with A-Rod, I just think there's been, a lot of ball out plays. He's getting the ball out of his hands. I know they feel I think they've got a really, really special player in Garrett Wilson. I think Breece Hall is one of the better running backs in this league, and I think they've committed to running the football and trying to play a certain style. But I still think they're finding their way right now in the pass game. Aaron is he is a supercomputer back there playing quarterback. He's hand signaling. He's wanting to see what you're in defensively and then get to a route, get to a concept, get to a man beater, get to a ball out, quick play to beat a pressure. So there is going to be an ultimate chess match going on between Aaron and that offensive group and Brian Flores and his defense on Sunday. It's going to be a blast to watch. There's going to be just yet another example between a team that plays well in all 3 phases. We're going to have to play well in all 3 phases, and we're going to have to be ready to stand in the middle of the ring and exchange some punches and just continue to play because they're going to make some plays. They're going to make some plays against us, and we just got to keep playing and make a few more than they do.
Favorite day of the week? Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Kevin O'Connell.
I thought you were asking me, by the way.
What your favorite?
I was going to say Sunday.
See, he was the one that wants to keep going, not me. Got a 2-year contract with the Jets, and they made him a captain one game. I couldn't even get to that. Favorite day of the week when you come by here. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Kevin O'Connell, head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, and I'm Paul Allen. Back after this.